romantic. There's something in the air. Paris just does something to me.
We are here to break down the trailer for next week's newest episode of The Bachelorette, episode 4. Welcome back to our channel, everyone. Hope you're all having a great day. Before we get into the trailer, be sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new here, do not forget to subscribe to our channel. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, joined with Blakely McHugh and Kayla Thompson. Kayla, welcome to Shared News. This is your first panel here. How are you doing? Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself?
Thank you so much. I'm doing well. I'm super excited to be here. I'm from a YouTube channel called Kayla and Debbie, where me and my aunt Debbie talk about The Bachelor. So I've been a super fan since I was like 11. So I'm super excited to be talking with you guys about this next episode.
Cool.
Yeah.
And Blakely, you were once the new girl. And I feel like we really hazed you a little bit, especially behind the scenes. So how does it feel to have Kayla here, and are you going to be hazing her in return?
Never, never. You can't haze. You just gotta love and bring them in, you know. I do need to know what was going on behind the scenes that I don't know about, Zach.
Oh, I thought we talked about this, Blakely, I thought we talked about this.
Maybe you'll have to refresh my memory when we're done here.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, welcome, Kayla. Now, Kayla, what was one of your favorite Bachelorette seasons ever that you've talked about in the last few years?
Oh, man. The first one that comes to mind is Rachel Lindsay's season. That was pre me having a YouTube channel. But yeah, I guess just because she was the first Black Bachelorette, you know, I mean, it was iconic for me. But then I really liked Tayshia's season as well. Tayshia and Claire. Yeah,
Tayshia and Claire. Claire did start the season off, but Tayshia honestly saved the entire season. And what are you thinking, Kayla, about Rachel and Gabby's season? How do you like the two Bachelorettes so far?
I actually love it. I feel like, for one, they struck gold with these two because I feel like they're actually genuinely friends. And you can feel that on screen. Even from like Clayton's season, you could tell that they really actually cared about each other. But yeah, I mean, with that being said too, we haven't had like one normal week of Bachelorette, in my opinion. It's just like been drama, craziness every episode. And it's only been 3 episodes so far. So yeah, it's fun. It's fun to watch.
For sure. Yeah, we love watching the dynamic and the friendship. And it kind of seems like Rachel had a hard week, and then Gabby had a hard week, and now we're about to break down this trailer, and Rachel's having a hard week again. So we're starting to pick up what they're putting down. But let's take a first look at this clip. We're going to be going through a few clips from the trailer for next week's episode, and the ladies are ready to all aboard the cruise ship and head to Paris. So let's take a look.
There's something in the air. Paris just does something to me.
There's going to be 2 separate groups now. We're on 2 separate journeys.
Okay, Blakely, we have our first bit of information how this is going to work. 2 separate groups, 2 separate journeys. Do you think they're just going to like separate the guys completely into like different houses or something, and they're not even going to be able to see each other? Because it feels like now there's going to be one group date for Rachel, one group date for Gabby.
No, I think that they're still all going to probably be in like the same wing of, I mean, they're in a cruise ship. So first off, they can't be separated in different houses. They're all on the same ship. True. I feel like they'll be in their same wing because of course it's The Bachelor. So we need drama. And the way that you get drama is by having all the boys or the contestants in one place so they can talk about whoever, you know, they're feeling, etc. We've seen in the trailers, maybe some people flip-flopping, and I could only think that happens because somebody who's for Gabby is talking about somebody who's for Rachel about Gabby, you know, whatever. So I think that they still all have to be in the same wing. But I really did foresee this happening at some point during the show where they were going to separate and be just for Gabby and be just for Rachel. But I don't think that we're going to see, like they're saying, you know, we're going to see 2 separate journeys. I don't think we're going to see 2 fully separate journeys. We're like, what's making this special is that it's 2 leads and kind of a very different dynamic. So they still have to intertwine that a little bit where we get a full group of something, or like those double dates with Rachel and Gabby, something like that.
Yeah, I definitely think they're going on a double date next week. I thought we saw that in the trailer. But what we also have here is Gabby making out with I believe it's Jason A, under the Eiffel Tower. That kind of looks cute and romantic. I'm really here for them. Jason A is definitely in my top 3 for Gabby. Kayla, who are your front runners for Gabby or for Rachel?
Yeah, Gabby, definitely Jason. Jason, I chose for Gabby, like, during the cast, you know, when the cast came out. So I'm excited to see them have like a first one-on-one date, get like a full date with them, see kind of how they really vibe. But I also like Johnny for Gabby. And Eric is like, I don't know how to feel about Eric. Like, I like him sometimes, and then I'm like, I don't know if I can trust him fully. So last week was a little weird for me, in my opinion, with Eric. So we'll see, but Johnny and Jason, I like those 2 for her.
For sure.
No Nate on the list, Kayla?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about Nate. God bless. I love him. I'm so sorry,
Okay.
Nate. I love Nate. Yeah, those 3. Nate, Jason, Johnny. Yes, thank you.
And maybe Eric. That could be her top 4. She's got a few options. Rachel has a few good options. We've kind of been talking about like maybe Tino or Avon, or even Tyler would be a good fit for Rachel. So let's keep watching to see where the love is in the air.
Love to you is just the ultimate thing. And that's exactly how I am.
I never thought I would be able to find someone, and like now it's right in front of my face.
The thing about Gabby and Rachel, like they're both so emotional, which is great. Like I love watching people cry. I love crying too. It's kind of fun. But like these are probably the 2 most emotional and sensitive bachelorettes of all time. Like they are so head over heels in love, and they can't believe they're the Bachelorette. Like bring on the drama. Who do we think she's crying over, Blakely? Do you think it's too soon to say you're falling in love? Or is it just Paris getting to them?
It's probably Paris. You know, how do you not fall in love when you're in Paris or you're on a European vacation getaway? It's very romantic. I have absolutely no idea who we're talking about because I don't believe that we really see Nate in this trailer, which is someone I feel like she has a strong connection with. Maybe it's Eric because we see them again right here. I don't know. These girls, though, they're so emotional so quick. Like every single episode, they're, you know, worried that they're not going to be loved, which I mean, I understand that feeling to a degree, but like, let's wait until we get a little bit further for that feeling to like really take over, you know? I don't know. It just feels a little soon.
Yeah. Kayla, do you think it's too soon to say you're falling in love? And who do you think she's talking about? We also saw Rachel on a date with Tino, who is my winner pick and probably my favorite for Rachel. I really like him. Yeah.
Yeah. With that being said, Tino, like I was thinking earlier when I was, you know, watching this preview, Tino and Rachel have that like Bachelor spark. That's like, you know, they just like each other. They don't really know what it is. They just really, really like each other. And so for me, I'm like, she's going to pick Tino. I like him as well. But yeah, I feel like with Gabby in that clip with her crying, to me, I think that might be Jason, the date with Jason, because she still has that high pony in the white outfit. So I'm thinking that might be after like the night portion with Jason, just feeling like, you know, she's really into him. I know she said something to Rachel in between their double date. Maybe they kind of like have a powwow in the middle and she's saying, I'm already in love, which is, you know, Gabby being goofy. But yeah, it's way too soon for it to be like, I'm legit falling in love. But you're right, Zachary. These girls are, I mean, the emotions are up and down every day on week. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, and I like their powwows. I like that they kind of meet up and regroup in between dates, in between like the mornings. I think that's like important to see. But this week is going to be fun to see them on like separate journeys for the first time because now the lines have been blurred or they've been drawn in the middle. You're either on Gabby's side or Rachel's side. But have they? Because there is one guy who might regret accepting a rose from one of them. So let's take a look.
Every time I'm in the same room as Gabby and Rachel, I realize my feelings toward Gabby.
He made a vulgar comparison, something about I don't trust.
So this is, before we get to this conversation, this is Logan who is saying that he has feelings for Gabby when he originally accepted Rachel's rose. Now, Blakely, what was he supposed to do in that moment? If he like, what if he just truly didn't know who he liked more, and it's better you just accept a rose so you can stay versus the other guys who ended up going home.
Yeah. I have absolutely no idea what the right move is. I guess you accept it because you think, you know, sometimes you think, oh, there'll be a sign that'll tell me which way to go if I'm in the middle. You know, whoever gives me the rose is the sign. So, you know, maybe that's what he was telling himself. So he got the rose, but maybe clearly it wasn't the right sign. I'm interested to see how this will play out for Logan. Only because, again, these two girls are really good friends. How do you, if you really think about this like in a logical sense, you think about it after the show, how do you go on double dates with somebody who first wanted to be with your friend and now doesn't want to be with your friend but wants to be with you? That just seems like a very awkward dynamic.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I'm surprised there's not more than one guy who's kind of in the middle, just because it did feel like there was guys who were trying to explore both relationships. So maybe there's going to be another guy besides Logan who's going back and forth. But I don't think it's going to go over well for him. Like, I can't imagine how he's going to be able to flip sides. Like, what is he just going to switch from one group date to the next? What do you think is the best way for him to handle this, Kayla? How does he go about this?
I don't know. I don't know what to tell Logan, but I know what to tell Gabby and Rachel. It's like, all right, get him out. Like, the flip-flop is doing too much. You know, I just feel like even him being like, oh, you know, whoever gives me the rose is a sign. I'm like, no, you need to determine who your feelings really lie with the strongest. So I'm just kind of looking at Logan like, Logan. But I don't know. It's a thing where I think the best thing for him to do is to just be honest and not drag it out and not have another guy tell Rachel he needs to be the one to tell her first. So that for sure. But I'm also curious, guys, if Gabby ever told Rachel that she kissed Logan too. Because remember in episode 2, you know, Rachel's like, oh my God, Gabby, you know, I kissed Logan in that group date. So Gabby didn't really say anything, which I thought was the right thing to do in the moment. But it's got me kind of like, I wonder if, you know, behind the scenes she maybe said anything.
Yeah. It kind of seems like Gabby like let Rachel have Logan. Because I felt like she was vibing with him too. And then she was like, oh, Rachel likes him a little bit more. I'll just let him have him because they're so scared to step on each other's toes, which I think that they should just, you know, both dive in. But I also think with Logan, he seems like the type of guy that wants what he can't have. Like, I almost feel like if Gabby gave him the rose, he would have been like, oh, now I like Rachel. So we're going to have to see it play out. But I don't know if Logan is necessarily ready to, like, you know, get engaged and get married. Now, there was this conversation in the trailer about Meatball telling Rachel some information. So we're just going to have to watch the next clip to see how it's going to go down.
I've tried hard to put my feelings aside, but the heart wants what it wants.
Every single day is like a roller coaster.
Why does she look pissed off?
Do you know why I'm talking to you right now?
Okay, so who do we think Rachel is confronting? Now, we know that last week there was a little bit of drama with Hayden when he told Gabby that she was rough around the edges. So it's possible Rachel's going to confront him about that this week, but then this situation feels like an entirely different drama or exchange besides that. And Meatball is the one delivering the tea to Rachel. So what do you guys think?
Yeah, I have to be honest. I mean, none of these men give me the impression that they would say that. Like, truthfully, I don't feel like we have a standout villain where you typically do in other seasons that hang around sort of for this long, but there's nobody who stands out to me as like a villain. You know, obviously we've got our questions about Logan. We've got our eye on him because he seems like a flip-flopper. I think that will probably ensue some drama between the men because if they end up letting him maybe attempt with Gabby, obviously like the guys are going to be irritated about that. But none of these men give me the impression that they would say something like that. So either one, words were twisted, or two, I mean, the only person that I could give it to would be Hayden because of his rough around the edges comment. So maybe he has no common sense of what you say and what you don't say because that wasn't appropriate to me. But even then, he still kind of gives me like a sweet vibe that just said the wrong thing and doesn't know better. So I'm really confused on who is saying something to this degree.
Yeah, I mean, I think Meatball even being there is confusing me. I'm kind of like, why was he allowed to come back? You know, I thought you rejected Rachel's rose. and now all of a sudden you want to be with Rachel. So it's giving like, what's the real reason behind why you're being here? Are you stirring the pot just because? Because Blakely, I see what you're saying. I don't really see any of these guys saying that specific line. I feel like that's wild. And especially even for Hayden, he's kind of like the Southern guy. Calling a woman out of her name like that is just, it's totally different than a rough around the edges, put my foot in my mouth kind of thing. So I don't know. It's fishy, especially because in the clip, Rachel seems to be talking to two people. So I don't know. It's weird. I'm like intrigued for sure.
Yeah, because I guess at the end of last week, Meatball asked for a second chance with Rachel because he didn't have enough time with her. So maybe now he is really trying to make sure he gets enough time by stirring the pot and causing some drama. I don't know if it's because there's, spaghetti in Paris. You know how they kiss mouths with the noodle? So maybe they need him and his meatballs there. He was the comic relief of the show, so I'm kind of glad that we're going to get him a little bit longer, but I definitely think Hayden's going to put his foot in his mouth again. Something tells me he does that pretty often. But let's check out the next clip because Jesse Palmer actually has a shocking update for the men.
The shock on their faces, no one even knew what I was coming from.
Tonight, Rachel was given some information about some things said that was really disturbing.
Oh, Jesse is so dramatic. Kayla, what do you think about him as a host? Do you miss Tayshia and Caitlin? Do you miss Chris? Where are you kind of at with Jesse?
Okay, definitely don't miss Chris. I'm not gonna lie. Chris had to go. It was time. Besides what he, the whole thing with Rachel Lindsay, he had to go. But I think Jesse is he's doing what he's probably told to do, and I just don't feel like he's bringing any of him to the table.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm just kind of like, why is Jesse here? Because even in this season with Gabby and Rachel, it kind of gives that same vibe. When Tayshia and Caitlin were with Katie or with Michelle, it was like we kind of got the powwow stuff that we were talking about earlier, Zachary, in the friendship, right? So it's like, I don't know, Jesse's just coming here to tell us that there's a rose left or explain the rose ceremony and I don't know, he's sometimes not all the way 100% genuine to me, not like he's fake or something, but it just feels like he's not robotic. Fully in it sometimes. Yeah, robotic, a little stiff. So I want him to kind of just get into it a little bit more. I don't know.
Yeah, and maybe he will, or maybe the show is telling him not to because they want to keep the host position kind of low key. Blakely, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I totally agree that he doesn't bring any of himself in. What I really loved about Tayshia and Caitlin is that they were more off script. You got a little bit more personality. You could actually connect with them. It almost feels like, what is the host's job on The Bachelor? Quite frankly, I don't need Jesse to come tell me there's one rose left. I know that there's one rose left. The women can kind of control these situations a little bit at this point. Okay, let's get the final, let's get the final rose ceremony done. I don't know. The host for The Bachelor almost feels a little mute to me. I know that there's a purpose and there's a reason to having one, but I would like to see a little bit more personality, a little bit more off script, because he doesn't feel like he meshes with the women and he doesn't feel like he's meshing with the men. There's no relatability to him whatsoever. And I think I've said this 100 times, Zach, the reason why I am liking this season more is because there's more relatability to it. I want to actually feel like I can connect with the people who are on my TV screen. I want to see the natural moments in The Bachelor. That's what I think makes it successful, is when you can connect and you could relate. So that's how I feel about Jesse, is he needs to be a little bit more relatable.
I mean, he's definitely enjoying his vacation. They're off to sail on this beautiful cruise. They're in Paris. I mean, those small moments of camera time he has, you got to imagine he is living his best life all around the resort. He doesn't want to say anything or do too much to mess this up, and I can't blame him. So we'll see what happens the rest of the season, but I do agree he's going to have to get a little bit more into it. And it seems like at this moment, he's kind of just relaying to the guys that maybe Rachel had a meltdown because of some of the drama that ensued and some of the information she was given. So I wouldn't be surprised if another cocktail party got canceled, because you know how that always happens. They're like, Guys, the most dramatic thing, the cocktail party is canceled and in everyone's face. Oh, gasp, how dare it. Oh my God.
Like they've never heard of it
so
before.
Much time. Yeah. So we do have one more clip and then I want to hear your final thoughts. But Rachel is going to have a meltdown this week and it's going to be hard to watch, but it might make good TV. So let's take a look.
I hate every single day having to get to the point of wanting to leave. I'm just so over this. I'm so done.
Okay, she says she's over it, she's done. We've seen plenty of meltdowns for the leads before. You know, Colton jumped a fence, Katie stormed out with the Greg situation. So this is not new to us. But Kayla, I want to hear your thoughts on the fact that they're doing this, what I said in the beginning. They're like, Rachel has a hard week, Gabby has a hard week, Rachel has a hard week. I mean, is it too predictable? Like, what do you think about how they're kind of like showing us on the screen? Or is it just happening that way?
I think, man, that's a good point. I think that it might be both. To me, last week with Gabby seemed a little producer induced. When she went to the house and nobody talked to her, it's like, really? Nate didn't pull her aside. Jason didn't pull her aside. John, it's like, come on. You guys are probably telling them, don't talk to Gabby. Just wait till you have your time at the group, you know? So to me, like Gabby's, you know, stuff was probably producer stuff. But this thing with Rachel, I mean, to me, you know, her crying in this fit right here with the green sports bra thing might be about Logan jumping ship. And so to me, that's like the natural kind of drama that happens.
Quite literally jumping ship.
Yeah, quite literally. Yes. So, I think that with Rachel this week, I think this was just kind of a natural occurrence that, you know, it's just the drama of the situation itself, of having two bachelorettes, these guys kind of having feelings, you know, mixed up and all this kind of stuff. So
is she the most dramatic bachelorette ever, Blakely? Like, I mean, it just keeps happening to her.
It does keep happening to her. I don't know. We're going to have to see how the rest of the season goes because I think that Katie Thurston still has that title. So we'll need to see how it plays out. You're right. Or Claire, but we only got 2 weeks of her, but she was also very dramatic in those 2 weeks.
She was so
in
dramatic.
2 weeks.
My thought is...
In 2 weeks, so dramatic.
Can we just have a season... or at least an episode? Just give me an episode where it's not a whole thing. Like, why can't something can happen, but why can't we just be irritated? Like, oh, that's so annoying. Why do we have to cry? And it's this and it's that. Like, can't we just be annoyed for a second? Can we just be irritated and then move on? Why do we have to be emotional? Why do we have to cry? Why do we have to be upset? Why does it have to ruin the whole Bachelor experience?
Yeah.
Why is it, you know, I don't know if I should be the Bachelor any longer. It's just so dramatic. Like, let's just be irritated.
It's like the end of the world every time.
It truly is. Yeah, I don't know exactly what went down. It could be with Logan. It could have something to do with Hayden or Meatball. But Rachel's definitely going to be getting some hard news this week. And it looks like Gabby is going to be probably helping her. At least they have each other because they can't trust anyone else. Before we wrap things up, Kayla, what are your predictions for the rest of the season? What do you think is going to happen?
The rest of the season.
Or what do you want to see happen?
My prediction, I think that, you know, this isn't going to be the last maybe we see of the guys maybe jumping ship situation or getting confused. I don't know. I think, or maybe even like leaving early, something like that's going to happen. I just feel it in my bones. I don't know. But I want to see both of them get engaged. I really do. I feel like they have a really good shot. Like what you guys were saying earlier, there's really no clear villain of the season. Yes, there's drama, but it's like they both seem to have really amazing guys. And I think my prediction for both of their top four are just like, I could see them be with any of them. So I'm thinking that it'll end in love. It'll end on a good note for both of them, but it's going to be bumpy the whole way. It's going to be a roller coaster the whole way.
It's definitely going to be bumpy. They're going to be on this cruise ship. I can't wait to see someone get pushed overboard. We know it's going to happen. Thank you so much for joining us today, Kayla. And thank you everyone so much for listening. Leave your comments down below on what you think is going to happen next week on episode 4 of The Bachelorette. And before you head out of here, do not forget to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you're always up to date with all things Bachelor Nation. As always, I'm your host, Zachary Reality, with Blakely McHugh and Kayla Thompson. Our social medias are on the channel right now, on the screen right now, so be sure to come over, come say hi. Thank you all so much for watching, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.